Heavy footsteps thunder across the frozen forest floor. The sky is cloaked in thick clouds. No sunlight, no moonlight, just endless darkness stretching for months. Snow falls silently, blanketing ancient conifer trees. Amid this scene, a massive shadow moves silently. Its eyes glow like twin embers in the night. It pauses, breathes deeply, then charges forward like a blizzard. A scream pierces the silence, but it's too late. Its claws have already sunk deep into its prey, and in an instant, silence returns. No one knows what happened. No one survives to tell the tale. But if you dare to imagine, picture an Arctic Tyrannosaurus rex, over 6 meters tall and nearly 12 meters long, stalking prey through eternal darkness. If you've always thought of T-Rex as the king of hot deserts or lush jungles, this video might change everything. In recent years, paleontologists have proposed a bold hypothesis that T-Rex may have lived in the Arctic, not as a stray traveler or lost outlier, but as a distinct population, one that thrived, hunted, and evolved in one of Earth's harshest environments. A land of near-perpetual night, sub-zero temperatures, and winters where death loomed at every step. You might ask, how could a T-Rex survive somewhere as cold as the Arctic? But wait, new discoveries, from fossils and sediment layers to skeletal structures, are starting to reveal a truth we never imagined. Imagine this. While most dinosaurs migrated away from the poles during winter, one evolutionary branch of T-Rex may have turned the cold into a weapon. With night vision, a supercharged sense of smell, and perhaps even a thick coat of feathers for warmth, it became an unbeatable predator in a land where the sun barely rose. So the question is, was the Arctic T-Rex the ultimate predator evolution ever produced? A creature not just strong, but one that turned adversity into advantage and ruled the frozen north. We all know T-Rex as the king of the Cretaceous. But if the Arctic hypothesis is true, then maybe even that title falls short of describing what this creature truly was. What evidence supports the idea that T-Rex lived in the Arctic? How could a warm-blooded dinosaur survive in what seems like an impossible environment? And if it's true, what other secrets about T-Rex are still buried in ice? Today, we'll journey through fossil records, flip through pages of prehistoric history, and reconstruct an entirely different image of T-Rex, a creature of the dark, a hunter in the snow, and one that may never have known daylight for months at a time. This isn't just an exciting theory. It could be a discovery that rewrites how we understand dinosaur evolution and survival. Because if a massive predator like this could thrive in the Arctic, where exactly are the limits of life? Before we dive in, if you're passionate about dinosaurs, paleontology, and unraveling the ancient mysteries of our planet, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us weekly as we travel back in time to explore the forgotten corners of prehistory. Now let's begin the journey to uncover the truth behind the Arctic T-Rex, an apex predator of eternal darkness. The Arctic today is a place where creatures have two choices: adapt or die. It's a land of endless ice, where the sun disappears for weeks, the wind cuts through the thickest fur, and every step could lead to silent death in the snow. But if we turn the clock back, not centuries, but 70 million years, we'd see an Arctic that looks nothing like what we know today. No glaciers, no polar bears. Instead, dense forests crowded the riverbanks. Giant ferns swayed in the breeze, and massive herbivores wandered through valleys of prehistoric vegetation. It was a land teeming with life. In the late Cretaceous, Earth's climate was 10 to 15 degrees Celsius warmer than it is today. There were no permanent ice caps. The Arctic wasn't the frozen wasteland we picture. It resembled a cool, temperate forest, with warm summers and chilly, but not frozen, winters. However, one condition remained unchanged: the Earth's axial tilt. That means even during warmer times, the Arctic still experienced 6 months of light and 6 months of darkness, just like today. And this created one of the biggest evolutionary challenges in history. Imagine being a creature living in a forested Arctic. In summer, the sun never sets and plants grow wildly. But in winter, everything shuts down. No light, no warmth, a frozen world of silence. So what made the Cretaceous Arctic a land of life, not death? The answer lies in its diverse and resilient ecosystem. Fossils found in Arctic Alaska, Canada, and Siberia paint a vivid picture. Edmontosaurus, 12 meters long, moved in herds across fern-covered lowlands. Troodon, small but smart, with massive eyes for hunting in darkness, possibly one of the most intelligent dinosaurs. Conifers, ferns, and ancient pines forming dense forests that fed entire food chains. Ancient turtles, fossil fish, and cold-blooded reptiles, proving that rivers didn't freeze completely and supported aquatic life. Scientists believe the Arctic in summer was a paradise with explosive plant growth and abundant food. Dinosaurs bred, grew, and stored energy here. But in winter, they didn't migrate. They adapted. They possibly hibernated, changed behaviors, or evolved entirely new strategies. One critical detail: most fossils found are from juveniles and eggs, suggesting dinosaurs bred and raised their young in the Arctic, not just passed through. That means the Arctic wasn't a seasonal stop. It was a true home capable of sustaining entire life cycles. Enter Nanoxaurus, a smaller cousin of T-Rex, discovered in Alaska. With a 6-meter length, thicker skull, and larger eye sockets, it showed clear adaptations to cold and low light. It may have been covered in feathers. While smaller, it provides key evidence that relatives of T-Rex could thrive in the Arctic. Now imagine, if Nanoxaurus hunted smaller prey, then the Arctic T-Rex hunted Edmontosaurus herds. If Troodon stalked in silence, the Arctic T-Rex tore through pine forests in pursuit. In a food chain ruled by darkness, the ultimate predator may have been one that could see without light, smell from miles away, and crush bones with a single bite. But the Arctic wasn't peaceful. Winter brought starvation, forcing prey to dig for roots or eat bark. Predators had to become smarter, more patient, and more ruthless. Some scientists propose the Arctic T-Rex hunted in packs like wolves or lions. One lured, one flanked, one killed. While unconfirmed, similar behaviors have been observed in other tyrannosaur species. And in an extreme environment like this, cooperative hunting makes sense. Zooming out, the Cretaceous Arctic was not a graveyard. It was evolution's pressure cooker. Here, nature demanded change, or extinction, and it may have been here that the most advanced T-Rex ever evolved. So what happened? Why did such a rich ecosystem vanish? What force was powerful enough to wipe out a life form so perfectly adapted? That's the mystery we'll tackle next. Edmontosaurus was wandering through the snow-covered forest. Its breath formed faint white clouds in the frigid air. It was too young to realize how unusually quiet the forest had become. No wind, no cracking branches. And then, from the darkness, a massive black shape stood completely still, waiting. Just one careless movement from the prey would be enough. In an instant, the entire forest seemed to explode with a terrifying lunge, and by the time the echo of the roar bounced off distant cliffs, the young creature was gone. This isn't a horror movie scene. It might very well be how the Arctic T-Rex hunted. A killing machine that didn't need light, didn't need help, and never missed. In the eternal darkness of the Cretaceous Arctic, light was no longer an advantage. Speed was no longer the key to survival. Every creature had to adapt or be erased. And the T-Rex, if it lived here, could no longer be the same version we know. It couldn't survive on brute force alone. It had to become something beyond, cold, precise, and terrifyingly perfect. To survive, the Arctic T-Rex may have evolved to grow a thick coat of feathers, like a thermal shield against the months-long winter. This is no longer just a theory. Many closely related tyrannosaurs have already been found with feather imprints. In such freezing temperatures, this insulation could have made the difference between life and death. But staying warm was only the first challenge. The bigger problem was how to hunt when darkness blanketed the land almost year-round. The answer may lie in its eyes. T-Rex already had large eye sockets. If it evolved in the Arctic, those eyes could have grown even more specialized. Like modern owls, its night vision may have become razor-sharp, able to detect even the slightest twitch of a hiding animal. Beyond eyesight, the T-Rex's sense of smell was its silent weapon. With an exceptionally developed olfactory bulb, it could detect the scent of death or the slightest whiff of living prey from miles away. In pitch-black conditions, blood, sweat, and fear, these became beacons guiding it to the kill. Perhaps the most terrifying adaptation wasn't what could be seen, but what happened inside. A creature living in such an unforgiving place needed to control its body temperature. That's why some scientists believe T-Rex wasn't entirely cold-blooded like reptiles today. Instead, it may have functioned more like a warm-blooded animal, able to generate internal heat, stay active, and resist freezing during the endless winter. In such an environment, T-Rex didn't act like a crazed sprinter. It needed patience, silence, and a single devastating strike. In the Arctic dark, T-Rex didn't hunt with fury. It hunted with precision. It listened. It sniffed. It waited, then struck. One bite from its jaw could shatter a spine in seconds. Some scientists suggest the Arctic T-Rex might even have hunted in packs, splitting roles like modern wolves. One lured, one flanked, one delivered the killing blow. While not yet confirmed, several tyrannosaur fossils have been found in the same area, same age, moving in the same direction, hinting at potential group behavior. But in a brutal winter, food wasn't always guaranteed, and a clever predator doesn't let opportunity go to waste. The Arctic T-Rex may have been both a hunter and a scavenger. With its super nose, it could track down carcasses, victims of cold, disease, or leftovers from other predators. Exploiting every energy source was what kept it alive. It didn't always win, but it always survived. And perhaps the scariest part? This isn't just speculation. There's growing archaeological evidence to back it up. First, the discovery of Dinosaurs, a close relative of T-Rex found in Alaska, about 6 meters long. It had larger eye sockets, a thicker skull, clear signs of adaptation to cold and darkness. Not T-Rex, but a strong hint that something bigger and more advanced may have existed. Next, the discovery of dinosaur eggs and juveniles in the Arctic. These weren't random fossils. They showed that dinosaurs not only lived, but bred and raised their young here. No migrations, no temporary stays. That means if an Arctic T-Rex existed, it too was born and died on this frozen land. Fossil bones of Arctic dinosaurs also show structural differences. Denser, less porous bones, perfect for conserving heat just like animals that live in cold climates today. This isn't coincidence. It's evolution. Though a full T-Rex skeleton hasn't been found in the Arctic yet, Large portions of the region remain unexplored due to permafrost and extreme conditions. Which means somewhere under millions of years of ice, the first Arctic T-Rex skeleton could still be waiting. T-Rex of the South ruled the sunlit forests. But if its Arctic cousin existed, it reigned in darkness. It didn't need sunlight. It didn't need warmth. It didn't need plenty of food. Just the will to live, the patience to wait, and the power to end a life with one bite. It wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the fastest. But it was smart, resilient, and utterly merciless. It didn't hunt for thrill. It hunted to survive. And that alone makes it more terrifying than any dinosaur ever discovered. But even the dominant predator cannot rule alone forever. In that frozen forest, the Arctic T-Rex wasn't the only creature lurking in the dark. There were others, faster, sneakier, and herds of giant herbivores that no longer went down without a fight. We're about to enter the deadliest part of the food chain, where every mistake costs a life. Darkness blanketed the forest like a thick black shroud. Snow fell silently, but there was a faint sound, the crunch of snow beneath sharp claws. A Troodon crept low through the underbrush, eyes wide, scanning for any signs of life. It didn't know that not far away, another creature was watching, not to compete, but to kill. Even as the apex predator, the Arctic T-Rex did not live alone. The Arctic during the Cretaceous period wasn't a barren wasteland. It was a massive biological battlefield where the weak were devoured and the strong never got to rest. In that brutal ecosystem, the Arctic T-Rex faced many others. Some were prey, others competitors, and some, though not predators, could fight back fiercely enough to make even the king hesitate. Let's start with the largest prey, giant herbivores like Edmontosaurus. Standing up to 4 meters tall and stretching nearly 12 meters long, these duck-billed dinosaurs weren't as helpless as they appeared. They moved in herds, dozens or even hundreds. When attacked, they didn't immediately flee. Instead, they formed protective circles around their young, lashing out with powerful tails. One strike from an Edmontosaurus could break the ribs of any predator, even a T-Rex. The T-Rex couldn't just rely on brute force. It had to observe. It had to choose carefully, targeting the weak, the young, or the injured. Only when the outcome seemed certain would it strike. A failed ambush cost more than energy. It could cost the predator its life if the herd retaliated. Then there were Pachyrhinosaurus, large ceratopsians with thick skull plates and formidable nasal bosses. They also lived in herds and displayed extremely aggressive defensive behavior. Some fossil evidence suggests brutal clashes between T-Rex and these creatures. Deep bite marks on skulls, fractured bones, and healed injuries tell the story of bloody battles between predator and prey. As for fellow predators, the T-Rex wasn't the only hunter. Smaller species like Troodon and Dromaeosaurus, quick and cunning, often hunted in packs. They could scavenge from kills or steal fresh prey. In the darkness, these smaller predators often became the biggest nuisance. Beyond land predators, ancient crocodiles and flying reptiles also lived in this ecosystem, especially along partially unfrozen rivers. They weren't direct threats to the T-Rex, but they did compete for food sources. But the deadliest enemy wasn't always another animal. It was the environment. In winter, the lack of light was just the beginning. The cold, the snow, and the scarcity of food turned every hunt into a gamble. Prey became more cautious. Predators became more desperate. A single misstep could be fatal. A young, inexperienced T-Rex might break a bone from a fall, or be abandoned by its pack if it couldn't keep up. Sometimes the danger came from within. Evidence shows that T-Rex may have engaged in cannibalism, especially during food shortages. Bite marks from T-Rex have been found on the bones of other T-Rex. Whether this was the result of killing or scavenging is unknown. But in an unforgiving land, every carcass was a survival opportunity. Life for the Arctic T-Rex was a constant struggle. Hunt, kill, feed, repeat. No mistakes allowed, no second chances. And in such harsh conditions, it forged itself into a near-perfect creature. Every bite was lethal. Every appearance was a silent massacre. But no matter how strong, life is fragile. Volcanic eruptions, climate shifts, oxygen loss, or a meteor impact, any of these could break the delicate food chain. And in that moment, the strongest wasn't always the survivor. The Arctic T-Rex may have won every battle, but it may have lost the ultimate war, the final struggle for life on Earth. And now, all that remains are fossilized footprints, fragments of broken bones, and an unanswered question. Is there still an Arctic T-Rex skeleton waiting, buried deep beneath the ice? A snowstorm sweeps across the icy tundra. Everything is erased in blinding white. But beneath that snow, meters deep, lies a secret that has slept for tens of millions of years. A fossilized footprint, a small bone fragment, or maybe even an entire skeleton. The world still waits for the answer. Was the Arctic T-Rex just a theory, or a missing link in evolutionary history? To this day, no complete T-Rex skeleton has been discovered in the Arctic. What we have are indirect clues, close relatives like Nanosaurus, juvenile fossils, fossilized eggs, and signs of year-round residency. But that doesn't mean the Arctic T-Rex never existed. It might simply mean we haven't dug deep enough. The Arctic is one of the most inaccessible regions on Earth. Permafrost covers most of the land. Harsh weather makes excavation nearly impossible for much of the year. There are areas no human has ever touched. And if a T-Rex really died here, it may still be lying there, perfectly preserved beneath millions of years of ice. It's also possible that we've come close to the truth before, without realizing it. A fragment overlooked, a soil sample untested, or a misjudged geological layer. In science, not found doesn't mean not there, especially when more and more evidence points toward one big possibility. T-Rex was not just the king of the South, it might also have ruled the dark North. If that's true, then it also means this: we don't really know everything about the world's most famous dinosaur. What we know might just be a fraction of the full story. And the rest, colder, darker, and far more terrifying, still lies buried beneath the ice. Now, let's take a bolder leap. If the Arctic T-Rex truly existed, and if it evolved to survive cold, darkness, and scarcity, then could it have developed traits that no other dinosaur had? A thicker coat, hibernation abilities, a memory sharp enough to store complex hunting strategies? Some even propose that the last surviving T-Rex may have lived longer than the rest, protected by the Arctic environment, less affected by the meteor's impact, less forest fire, less heat. If so, a small group of Arctic T-Rex could have outlived their southern cousins, delaying extinction. And if that's true, then discovering a T-Rex skeleton in the Arctic wouldn't just be a big find. It would rewrite the extinction timeline. It would shake the foundation of everything we thought we knew about the end of the dinosaurs. The final question is this: will we ever find it? And if we do, will we even be able to comprehend what it represents? A creature born in darkness, adapted to survive, ruled without light, and then vanished, leaving behind only faint traces. The Arctic T-Rex, if it ever lived, is not just a variant of T-Rex. It is a symbol of the ultimate adaptability. A reminder that life can rise through even the harshest of conditions. And a warning: everything we believe to be absolute may only be part of the truth. And if you imagine, just for a moment, that one day beneath the permafrost, a 12-meter skeleton, scarred by time, emerges into the light after millions of years, then you are not alone. Scientists, explorers, and people like us, curious minds, are watching every drill, every layer, every glimmer of sunlight across the ice. One discovery, one moment. That's all it would take to rewrite history. So what about you? Do you believe the Arctic T-Rex truly existed? Or is it just a myth spun from shattered bones and wishful thinking? If you want to follow the search with us, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Because who knows, you might be the first person to lay eyes on the real Arctic T-Rex skeleton.